Hello and welcome to Effin' Fridays with Francine. I am excited. Today I have Clarissa Castillo Ramsey. She is an international best-selling author, award-winning transformational coach, and nationally collected abstract artist. Her top-rated podcast, Painting Your Path, helps midlifers and beyond start living life on their terms by overcoming imposter syndrome, moving past perfectionism, and creating a life they love. The heart of her work beats at the intersection of self-development, creativity, and wellness. Clarissa serves clients in groups one-on-one and through her many capstone online events, including Painting Your Path to Self-Expression. From Cubicle to Creative Life, and the Courageous Leadership Summit, which over 4,000 creatives and professionals have participated in. She is relentless, tough love. She is a relentless, tough love cheerleader for possibilities. Clarissa has been a featured expert in Voyage, LA Bold, Journey, Medium, and top-rated podcasts like The Art and Soul Show and Thrive Radio. Clarissa, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Francine, thank you so much for having me.
So, share with the listeners your story, who you are, how did you get here? Just tell us your story a little bit.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, and I'm going to give a very condensed version because I've been on this planet for 52 years. But here's what I know. And before we hit record, we were talking about the inner child. And my inner child knows who I am. And so in my life, two threads have really been a constant for me. And that's being an artist and having this desire to help people. And I knew that from a very young age. But like most humans, we get conditioned by our parents, our teachers, our pastors, our rabbis, whoever, adults,
Right.
telling us what to do. So even though I really felt like this is my identity, I veered away from that and followed everybody else's expectations. Go to a good college, get good grades, blah, blah, blah. So I spent almost 30 years in corporate in different jobs, different industries, like doing drastically different things from graphic design to HR consulting to being a compliance specialist,
Fun.
un which I knew was a bad move, but the dreamer and possibility holder in me is like, oh, I'll just start here. I'm not going to end here, but still, that was a horrific job for me. Anyway, fast forward to 2021. I was like, okay, I'm done with the corporate space because I always wanted to work for myself. So that's when I decided to go out on my own and work for myself. And that's what I've been doing for the last, I can't do the math, 3, 4 years.
Yep. 4 years. Yep.
4 years,
2021. Yep.
coming up on 4 years.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. And also, do you want to talk about your voice? Because obviously the listeners are probably
Yes.
questioning that because that's also part of your journey.
Yeah, it is part of my journey. Yeah. And apologies if you can hear sirens in the
Nope,
background.
cannot hear that.
Okay, good. So when I left the corporate space in 2021, I just knew I wanted to get into coaching. I had no idea who my niche really was because I'm multi-passionate. I'm also an artist and amongst many other things. But the advice we always get going into the entrepreneurial space is you need to niche down.
Right,
Hey,
right.
pick
Yep.
one audience, pick one thing, do one thing. And that was something that I always fought with. I understood it, but I followed that advice and started working with people who also wanted to escape the 9 to 5. And it was fine at the beginning, and I got some success right away doing that. And it was during the pandemic. So it was the great resignation. People were like, get me the fuck out of
Right,
here. I hope I
right.
can swear. And
Yes, absolutely. Effing Fridays, you can swear.
right. And so it kind of just made sense. So I did that for a while. But I also just overdid it when you're beginning your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure.
And I know you've been on your journey for a while, Francine. You want to do all the things.
Right.
And I just went into overload with summits and master classes and doing so much that by the end of 2022, I was supposed to go live with one of my summit speakers. And they said to me, Clarissa, are you sure you want to go live right now? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. And they were like, you don't look okay. And that really was the beginning of me like taking a step back and asking myself what the hell is going on. And fast forward to 2023, April 2023, I got diagnosed with spasmodic dysphonia, which is a rare vocal condition. And they don't know the true cause of it.
Mm.
But like, I think you and I talked about this, like, before we hit record, like our body ailments
Our body,
is a
the body keeps the
message.
score.
The
Yep.
body keeps the score.
Yep.
So I knew a part of this had to do with something not being expressed.
Mm.
It was definitely burnout, overwhelm, but there's truth to that. So for 2023, I kind of went through a depression, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And I was like, what the hell am I doing? Who am I?
Right.
And so that began a new journey for me to ask myself, what is it that I really want to do in this one precious life? What do I
Mm.
want to bring forward in the world? So I was experimenting with different things last year, or just to like with acceptance around self-expression. And that's really informing the work that I do today. So I can honestly tell you, I definitely do not feel that stress that I did going
Right.
into 2023. And my body is still catching up with me today.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
You're
And
welcome.
I would imagine I think it's Oprah that says, the universe taps you on the shoulder, gives you a nudge, and then gives you the sledgehammer, right?
Yep,
So you waited for the sledgehammer,
for
right?
sure.
What can you look back now and see what the nudge and the tap might have been for you in that, that 2-year period?
Uh, yeah, I just I was no longer resonating with the work I was doing. I definitely want people to live their best life, but I started deep talking and teaching about lead generation and email sequencing and things like that, like
Yeah.
dialing deep into the components of building our business. Whereas what I feel most compassionate about is that self discovery through creativity and wellness and taking care of yourself. And those were things that I had also incorporated in my programs. What's really coming to the forefront is those are the vehicles, well, wellness and creativity to get to self discovery are pieces that I'm really embracing. And even before this happened, I can trace back to my corporate days when I was a graphic designer. I used to work in marketing, and I said to my boss, hey, what if we just have a day where we paint, an afternoon where we paint, and maybe that'll give us ideas for holiday promo.
Yeah.
And we did that. It was so relaxing. And everybody participated. And my boss said to me, Clarissa, why don't we do this more often?
Right.
And that stuck with me
Yeah.
ever since then. And between then and now, I had kind of dabbled into doing our wellness type of workshops. And now I'm doing all of those. And it feels in so much alignment with who I am.
Yeah, I love that. Creativity is one of those things. It was my word of the year last year because for so many
Nice.
years I would say I'm not creative. I'm not creative. I'm not creative. And really what it is I can't paint like you can. Right? Like,
Sure.
but I'm creative in other ways. I had
Oh,
to, like, to
yes.
me, creativity was an artist.
Right. Like for
And
so many people.
yeah, and I was speaking with a friend of mine who is an artist, and we were having this conversation last year where I don't know if you're familiar with human design, but I'm a manifesting
Yes.
generator.
Oh, me
And
too.
but I don't fully understand human design, but I respond. So I'm a responder.
Yes.
And that made so much, like, that gave me so much understanding of how, like, if somebody says to me, what color do you want to paint your house? I go blank. But if they
Right.
say, do you want it painted blue or gray? I can give you an answer. Like, if you give me
Yes.
options, I can respond. But if you give me a blank
Yes.
canvas, I'm like,
Right. It's
and
too much.
right. So I'm a hairdresser. So I create it, right?
Yes.
I like wearing makeup. That's creative. I
Yes.
am a business owner. I create things in my business. But I
That's
had this like
right.
tunnel vision of what creativity is and was, and that wasn't me. So I had to shift that. So how do
I'm
you
so
help people?
glad
Because
you
I would imagine
did.
you run into that with your clients as
Oh,
well.
yes. Yeah. And I just want to say you're wearing orange, your scarf, and
Yes.
that is the creativity color.
Perfect. I can't even.
Oh,
So, can I just say, I don't even know when the last time I've worn this scarf, probably years. And today I was like, I'm so tired of wearing the same three outfits,
oh
right?
my
Like,
God,
don't you just
I
have
love
the same?
it.
I grabbed a white
Yes.
shirt again,
Yep.
don't even know the last. And I was like, oh, and my scarf. I love the scarf that I bought at a farmer's market.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
beautiful. And you have the chakras in your background
Right.
today.
Right. So,
Like that
there's some form
symbolizes
of creativity here.
creativity. Yes. So what like similar to your conversation with your friend, what I tell people is I believe we are all creative. It does has nothing to do with being an artist.
Right.
If you got dressed today, bingo, you're creative. You
Right.
had to think of how to put something together. If you have ever taken ingredients out of your cupboard and your refrigerator and put them together to make a
Yeah.
meal, congratulations. You are creative. If you have ever told a lie in your life, congratulations, you're
Right.
creative. So we are all creative. And so I think it really helps to give people examples outside of art to show them,
Right.
remind them
Yeah.
they are creative.
I love that. Um, so talk a little bit about your painting your pathwork framework.
Yes, so happy to. Um, so as I was transitioning out from corporate to working for myself, I sat back to think about just how have I achieved success in my life because I knew I'd be able to apply it to that situation. And I came up with this 5 step framework that anybody can use. And the first step is to dream. And I think as adults, we don't do this enough. I think we get bogged down with words like realistic and, thinking in a very finite way.
I can tell you
However,
that was me. I'm much better at it, but my
yes,
husband's a dreamer and he would come up with these, and he also has ADD, right? So like
yeah,
that even exasperates it.
right,
But I would be like, okay, well, we can't do that. Like that's not realistic. Like, but now he still has his dreams, and I'm like, all right, who am I to squash him? Right?
yeah,
Like that's really not fair. But like early on
Uh,
in our relationship, I would be like, realistically, that can't happen, right? We don't have that money. We don't have this, we have that, whatever the reasons were. Because I'm the logical, I was the logical one.
right?
I'm still mostly logical, but a little bit more like, all right, let's ease into it.
Flexing.
Right. But,
Yeah.
I realized, I was like, all right, stop doing that, right? Stop
Yeah.
squashing his dreams.
And I think that's a great realization.
Yeah.
And we do need that logical side because we do need to have some structure
Right.
after we dream. And that is the first step, though. So really, as best you can, put aside any logic or any like reality,
Right.
but like, any question about possibility, put it to the side and create a vision board or just journal about it. What
Yeah.
is it? And you don't have to like do some big grandiose thing right away, like changing the world. Maybe you just focus on upgrading yourself in one area of your
Right.
life. So that's the first step, is to dream. And a question you can ask yourself is, what matters most to me? And
Yeah.
just start there and
Yeah.
just have fun with it, free flow. And then step two, after you've done that, is to make a decision. We know that success loves decision making, right? There's no waffling.
Yeah.
There's no waffling. So after you've dreamt, decide that your dream is worth pursuing, that you are worth it because you are. That's your birthright. You're worth it. So decide. Number three, and here's where some logic comes in. You got to make a plan, because if you're just in dreamland and you stay there, then you can't bring it to
Right.
reality. So putting a plan together, and again, you don't need to have the whole, you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to see the next step. And here's the thing, like sometimes people are, and this is true for me too. What if I make the wrong decision?
Right.
Well, you make a decision. You do something. If you don't like how it turned out, you choose something else.
Right.
It really truly is as easy as that. And the worst thing you can do is just decide not to do anything. So, anyway, making a plan is step three. Step four is to be brave. And this is where the rubber meets the road. You have to take action. You can't just have your plan like sitting on
I
your
have my plan. I
calendar,
have my dream. Now
right?
what? Now I
Yes,
have to
now
do
it's time.
something.
Yes, now you get to do something. And I think, this can be another roadblock for people. And when that happens, I like to remind people, go back to your dream, go back to your why. What is important to you? Remember that and take action. And then the last step is to reflect. So after you've taken some steps, you want to ask yourself, okay, I did the thing. What felt easy? What did I really enjoy? What didn't go so well? And that's not a problem. You just want to examine that a little bit. Like if something didn't go your way, just be honest with
Right.
yourself, or get feedback from somebody you trust and talk about it. A coach, a mentor, um, a trusted friend, and get that feedback. And then also ask yourself, well, what did I learn about myself in this process? So those are the 5 steps. But at the foundation of all of this is to adopt a growth mindset. So basically, that means with effort, with time, with the appropriate feedback, anything that you want to bring into this world is possible. And the other piece is self-care. For high achieving people like us,
Right.
sometimes it's so easy to just keep going and going and going. Don't do that. That's why I have this vocal condition that I'm
Right.
working through. Self-care is so critical, and taking care of yourself is like at the pinnacle, because if you're not solid in yourself, then it doesn't matter. It's not
Well, and if
gonna.
you're not, you can't take care of others, right?
That's right.
And, often I know the clients that I
Uh,
work with, they're caretakers, right? They take care of everyone
yes.
else. And I always
Yes.
say, you have to take care of you first so that you can take care of everyone else,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because oftentimes we attract the clients that we are. And I'm curious
Yes.
if clients that you work with metaphorically have lost their voice, and how does that, what does that look like for them, and how do you help them reclaim it if that is the case?
So, yeah, as many of my clients metaphorically have lost their voice because they're so up in their head,
Yeah.
overthinking, wanting things to be perfect, just being ruled by family expectation. And so, well, one way that I help them, like, just uncouple that is just asking, like, let me think of an example. Like, I had a client who believed nobody would be interested in her artwork. Nobody, like, who's gonna buy any of my stuff? And I said, well, how do you know that is true 100% of the time, that nobody
Right.
is going
There's a lot of
to
people in the
be
world.
interested in your artwork? Put that belief on trial
Right.
and find find somebody where that's not true. And of course, there's so many artists selling their work. And sure enough, I gave her a challenge, and I said there was this bakery that she loved, and she thought she could provide them some artwork for their menu for their window. And I said, so pitch them. Let's put a pitch together. Let's test your hypothesis. No
Right.
one's going to be interested in my artwork. So she did that. And lo and behold, guess what?
They
She's
loved her
working.
artwork, and
Yes, she's working with that bakery.
right. I love that.
So yeah, there's countless stories like that where it really is like taking a look in the mirror and recognizing their worth, that they don't have to be tied to disempowering beliefs and to challenge them.
I love that. I love that. And we create these stories, right? Like when
Yes.
people say all, or, all every time, right? Like, really, every
Yes.
single person in the
Yep.
entire universe, right? Yeah. And then
Exactly.
you take a step back and you go, oh, well, maybe there's one person that would like to buy your
It
artwork. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But it
And
keeps us safe too, right?
it
Like, it keeps
really
us safe.
does.
We don't have to put ourselves out there, right? There's a lot of safety if you don't take that step or that leap. That
That's
leap.
so true. That's
Yeah.
so true. And I think back to when I was doing my dissertation, because then I was like, oh, wow, like, am I ever going to work with a client? And my dissertation person said, Clarissa, you just need one.
Right.
You just need one to say yes, and then you know that it's possible. And so that's something that has always stuck with me over the years.
Mm, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
What's some advice that you give or would give to women in midlife who are feeling stuck or maybe unable to express their true selves, or, they're too busy to be creative because that's play, or.
I think, discount things like play. We discount things like setting aside time for creativity. And I just say, you know what? I want to challenge you to that. And here's something you can do, and this is a practical, just doodling.
Mm,
There's so much benefit in doodling. You can just make circles on a page and just see what that does for you. Do it, set a time, 10 minutes, which might seem like an eternity. But that's one exercise that I give people who just feel blocked. And really the point of that is to get out of the head. So work that I'm doing a lot more of is just through creativity, through even movement. Like another thing you can do if you're feeling stuck, get up and shake, get up and dance, put on
oh,
your
I've
favorite
danced in my
song.
office. Like I'll crank the music
Oh,
and dance around my
yes,
office, right? Like,
that's right.
yeah.
It shifts the
It
energy.
so does.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
those are two things you can do. You can
I
doodle and you can dance.
I love
Two
that.
Ds.
I love that. How do you think that helps them connect to their more authentic self or to their truer self?
I think with dancing, especially dancing by yourself, there's nobody looking.
Yeah,
I think that can help you begin to not give a shit about what people think
right.
and just, you know, do that. Start doing that on a regular basis with just one song and just see. Don't think about how is this going to connect to my everyday life. Just
Yeah,
start doing it and getting connected back to your feelings in your body, and I'm guaranteed that'll unlock something for you.
nice. And I mean, I would imagine this is we're kind of talking about creativity being a tool for healing, right? Both emotionally and physically.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it really is. There's so much research out there. And as artists, if you're an artist, you know this. Art for me is the ultimate self-care tool.
yeah,
I recently got impacted by the Eaton fires in Southern California. So I can't go out on my trail right now. And that's something that is also very healing is being in nature.
sure.
But it's not really advisable right now with
Right.
all the muckety muck that's in the air.
Yeah,
So, so I go to just painting a simple watercolor, just color on paper, just play. And it's an instant relaxer, instant
I love
anxiety
that.
reducer.
Yeah, I've
Yes.
done not again, not good at it, but I've done the, paint nights.
Yes.
And I don't like the ones with very detailed. I like the
Me
broad, right? I
neither.
love just taking the brush and brushing it across, like, doing the background.
Yes.
I remember the first time I did it, it was almost hypnotic.
It is.
Yeah, I was like,
It is.
whoa.
Right. It's just cool
My
to see where the paint goes.
Right. My husband and I were going to do one. It's funny that we're having this conversation. I don't even think I put this together earlier today. Last April, he bought me, he planned a date and it was going to be a paint night and we couldn't
Nice.
go. So they gave us like this, you can redo it, they gave us a credit. And then I think the next time we were going to do it, he had COVID. So I still have this
Oh,
credit. And today I actually went on their website and I was like, let me see what's out there, right? Like, I want to paint
nice.
something that is going to be fun. But it's even though I don't show them anywhere in my house, but
Yes.
it's just something different to do. And it really is this like hypnotic state of being in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so self-soothing. Yeah. And just
Um,
relaxing.
I know you're also a podcast host, right? So,
Yes.
share the name of your podcast with everyone.
Yeah. It's called painting your path.
Beautiful. What have you learned from the conversations that you've had with your guests?
Gosh, I just take so much from them. But I think sometimes we think we're alone in
Mm,
what's going on with us.
yeah,
And we see successful people and we think, gosh, well, that's them, that's not me. Yeah.
yeah,
But with every guest that I've had, because it's called Painting Your Path for a reason. It's about the journey of life. There's always something that um I can relate to, that the audience can relate to.
Yeah.
And I love that I always ask for, like, okay, what has helped you grow? What has helped you, like, just continue to evolve on your path? So, so that's kind of what's coming up for me right now.
Yeah. I love, so this is season 2, and this season everyone so far and that is scheduled are people I've never met before. So for me it's been really
Right.
cool to meet these complete strangers and have these conversations and be like, wow, we're more alike than we're different. Right?
Yes.
Like people are talking and I want to talk over them because I just want to jump in on the conversation because I'm like, yes, yes, that, me too. Let's do that, right? And it really has just, sometimes I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my God, you got to wrap it up. You got to stop talking because there's just so much synergy in the people that just show up. Right.
Yes.
And I put a call out, gosh, back in October, November, I think. And I'm still having these like little intro calls. I had so many people interested that I was overwhelmed with the amount of people. And if I think I had over 60 people and there's only 52 weeks in the year,
Right.
right? But I was like, I want to talk to everyone because everyone had such beautiful stories. I just had to pick and choose, right? Because not they weren't going to
Right.
all make sense. But it was fascinating to me how much um how excited I was to have all these conversations with people.
Yeah, that's so great. And I'm
Yeah.
not surprised you had that response because of who
Yeah.
you are and the content of this podcast.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
yeah,
So I know you do some spirituality work as well, right? So what's the connection between spirituality and self-expression in your work?
it just goes hand in hand. With even with art, like for me, creativity is art, and it all blends together. For me, spirituality is spending some time connected to source, God, whoever, whatever, in the universe,
Yeah.
and higher power, and just tapping into that. I grew up Catholic, and although I don't really resonate with that dogma so much
Right.
anymore, I am grateful that I had that upbringing, and I do believe in a higher power. So So that is part of it. And also, we're on the planet, we are surrounded by nature. So, where did this come from? It's not man made, it came from somewhere else. And so, I think there's such a big connection there as well. And it's funny because in my artwork and my creativity, I don't do this intentionally. A lot of the paintings that I do, people often ask me, do you only paint the ocean? Do you only paint the mountains or the desert? So it's just interesting, like
Yeah.
what comes up, what comes through. And um, and it's all a meditative practice as well.
Yeah. It is. It's such a, I mean, even coloring books. Like I like to do coloring
Yes.
books and I may or may not have shared with you, I just had my knee replaced in October, and last
Right.
October I had my hip replaced. So both, not so much this time, but with my hip, I did a lot of coloring while I was just sitting there. This time I didn't do as
Yes.
much, but it is such a meditative process of just like coloring in the lines and choosing the color. And
Right.
again, this is me. I'm not creative, and yet, I love my coloring books and my
Yes.
pencils and all the things, right?
That's right.
If
It
someone is
just,
feeling, oh, sorry, go ahead. What were
I was
you?
just gonna say, it just helps us be present,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. If someone is feeling disconnected from their creativity, what's one small step that they can take to start reconnecting?
Or they can just going back to doodling. That's one practice that they can do. Another thing that I take people through is taking whatever art supplies might be in your home. If you have kids, chances are you've got some kind of art supplies. And just make a mark. Make one mark. Make another mark. And just allow yourself to not really think about what is this going to turn into, but just start playing and and making marks and just see what happens. And that's one way that you can connect back to your creativity.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's just one
Yes.
small step. And it's funny you
One
mentioned the
small
doodling. I've
step.
never thought of that. Like I doodle with, if I'm on hold, I'll, just make
Yeah.
boxes or something, right? You
Right.
don't even think about it, but that's being creative. Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah. I love that. So I always love to ask this question. What is something that you live by that you want to share with our listeners?
Something I live by. There's no perfect time to get started.
Mm,
So just start.
I
Just
love that.
start.
Just start.
Yeah. And
Just start.
if that is like if that's too much, you can also ask yourself, what would be fun right now? Speaking of effing fun
Effin. Yeah.
Fridays,
Yeah.
like what would be something fun that I could do
Yeah.
and allow yourself to do it?
I love that. What do you do for fun?
Besides painting, I love taking hikes, walks in nature. I love trying new artistic things that I haven't ever done before, like embroidery. I did a painting and embroidery class over the weekend, and
Nice.
that's something I had never combined. And just being with friends.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
I love the social aspect. And when I was healing, I felt all this isolation of not being able to go out, not seeing
right.
people. And in January, my husband and I are doing dry January. We had
Yeah.
one drink over the weekend. I think it still constitutes as now they
Yeah.
call it damp if you have one drink. But we're also trying to eat healthy. So we really haven't been going
Yes.
out. And I'm like, so on Sunday, I was like, we have to go out. I
Right.
need to be, I love you, but I need to be around other people because that
Right.
really, I love the energy of other people, right? Even if we were just
Yes.
sitting at a bar we sat at a bar and we did some shopping and then just sat at a bar and had lunch and just having other people around, right? Like
Yes.
that lights me up. I love that.
Yes.
So, oh,
Awesome.
Clarissa, this conversation has been so yummy. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
yes.
Where can
Thank
people
you.
find you?
So, people can find me. I'm just going to say, tune into the Painting Your Path
Okay,
podcast,
perfect.
and you can catch more of who I am over there.
Okay. And we're going to put all those links in the chat, in the show notes anyways. I do pull cards
Ooh.
before every episode, and I don't look at them. And oftentimes there's a theme to the conversation. So it's always fun. So
Yes.
today I pulled from the Inner Child Oracle by Amanda Lynn Aisling. So I
Uh,
have three cards in front of me. I have a left, a center, and a right. So I'm going to invite Clarissa to choose one, and the listeners just take a deep breath and choose the card that resonates most with the information that you need.
say left.
Left. All right. Oh, I love this. Choose yourself today. Do not deny your importance.
Ooh, beautiful.
Right?
Yes,
And for
yes,
those that
yes.
chose center, you deserve to be seen. Let yourself be known. Beautiful.
Too.
And for those that chose right, a time to remember, look back on your childhood. Beautiful. Clarissa, thank you so much for being here today. This has been a fun conversation. I appreciate you.
So much, Francine.
And for those of you listening, thank you for joining me on today's journey towards a more enlightened and fulfilling life. I hope that today's episode has inspired you to embrace your inner wisdom and navigate your path with a renewed sense of purpose. Remember, transformation begins from within. Take a moment each day to connect with your higher self and trust that the universe is guiding you towards your highest good. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, share this podcast with those that may benefit from our message. Your support helps us reach more souls on their spiritual journey. You can stay connected with our community on social media. Both mine and Clarissa's links will be in the show notes. Visit my website, foreverchangecoaching.com, for any additional resources. You can also receive a resource that will help you check if you are ready for your next big ass up level. Until next time, continue to shine your light and walk in peace and love. I am Francine Tirrell, and this has been Effin' Fridays with Francine. Clarissa, thank you so much for being here today.